What up? What up? Welcome to the Keep It Going podcast. My guy Doc is a real dude sitting with real people having real conversations. Now make sure you subscribe so that you can get notifications every Tuesday. Now let's chop it up.
Hey, welcome everybody. You have arrived to the Keep It Goines podcast, and we have on our couch today 3 very special guests. I gotta tell y'all about the topic. Wives, thank me later. Now, part 1, we had some women on here saying, husbands, thank me later. And they were sharing these nuggets about here is what wives need to know on behalf of their husbands. So now I brought the brothers. I brought the brothers in to share now. Now, wives, y'all thank me later because I'm going to tell your husband some stuff that you've tried to tell him, but he wasn't hearing you. And sometimes it takes a man to tell a man where he's at fault at and some things he can do better. And so all these men have 2 things in common. They're all saved, and they are all married, and they are on the Keep It Goines podcast. So, fellas, thank y'all so much for being here, guys. So let me get like a brief introduction that states your name and whatever you want to say about yourself in 3 seconds. Go.
Andre Williams, been married for 26 years.
26
as of 2
years.
weeks ago.
Wow.
26 years.
All right.
Congratulations, boy.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yes, sir.
Remon Tuck, been married 20 years.
20 years. And your wife had us on this couch laughing early. Yes,
she
sir.
was up for.
Yes, sir.
And I'm Egon Settle, and next week it'll be 28 years for us.
28 years, man. And bro, I gotta tell you, your life right now, man. If you're like a movie. I mean, you really are like a movie, man. Like how you started your journey and to now be a married man with children and grandchildren, bro, and see how you love your babies and how, man, you just honor Savina, man. Like, it's amazing. And what's crazy about that, and Egon doesn't mind me sharing this about him, it's his story. What's amazing, man, is to see how you honor one wife today when at one time in your life you had multiple prostitutes working for you.
Right.
So as a former pimp, now turned ordained pastor and husband and counselor and therapist, dude, does this just blow your mind to be in this situation today?
Absolutely. I'm still blown away by it all, you know. And the best part about it is I got my wife next to me.
Wow.
I mean, that's
like right now?
That's the best part. She's right here.
Oh, okay, good.
Everywhere I go.
Okay. We can try to fix that up, joke.
No, I think I call my wife 2 or 3 times a day and we talk.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so would you say that that's something that most husbands would need to know is when it pertains to wife, that they like to hear from you throughout the day?
Absolutely.
Do you think that's true?
I think it's true, and I think it's very visual if they think about it. Because if you got a partner, if you call this brother 4 or 5 times a day, but you ain't called your wife,
What's that saying? Don't hurt the brother's feelings, man. Are they like
what they're saying?
Yeah.
She's not that interested when she's not around. That's just how I look at it. When she's not around, she's not interested.
Whoa. This man said when you don't call your wife, when you don't want to talk to your wife until you're around her, you're telling her that she's not that interested when she's not around. Ooh, Lord, that's a bar. That's a bar. So guys, let's set the stage when it comes to as you're addressing husbands. What's one thing you discover in all you guys been married at least 2 decades? What's one thing you say, husbands, hear me. Do this and stop doing this? Anything at all, across the board.
Yeah. Always let her know what you're bringing into the house.
Like money?
I don't care what it is. I used to come home and just give my wife, bring her a new car, or I bring furniture, everything into the house. And she agreed with it, but she just told me one day, she said, I really would like to be a part of the decision.
Oh, okay. Don't just assume you know it. Ask her. Okay, I like that one. I like
today,
that one.
Even when I go to the grocery store, I call her and let her know what I'm going to bring or what would you like to have. I don't bring nothing into our home
That's intriguing.
without her knowing about
That's
it.
intriguing because one of the things we talked about when the wives were here was as the man to honor her husband, to not bring anything into the house unless she tells the husband. I think that's intriguing. You're saying that vice versa, honor your wife in that same way. That's good. I like that. What you got?
Man, I would say know who you are as a man first. I think too often we try to be a husband before we become a man.
Come on, man.
Come on.
And you got to be a husband in the spirit before you can become a husband in the natural.
Now, how do you become a husband? Now, what does that mean? That
And
sounds
what I mean
real.
by that is, you got to have certain characteristics of a husband. I mean, you got to show her that you can lead.
How?
Okay, for an example, I just talked to a couple last week, right? And this brother had no idea. I told him, I said, make a list of the most important things in your life. You know what he put first?
What?
He said, my wife is first. And I said, well, do you trust his vision? She said, what vision? She said, because he don't have one because God is not his center.
Wow.
Y'all, this was on a Friday.
Man, she cut that dude.
She cut him so bad. By Sunday, they was ready for divorce.
Wow.
So because he had no leadership skills, no vision, no outlook as to who he was and who Christ is. Now, here's what I questioned. Why did you marry him in the first place?
Good, great question. That was my next question. And her answer was what? Because she had no vision? She had no vision like what a husband was?
Exactly. So it was kind of like a lack of preparation thing that they had going on there within them both.
So I mean, but I guess I like pragmatic type steps. Like, what does a man need to do to become a godly head of his home? What's step number one for that man? All he knows is, I love God, love my wife, love my kids, but she said I have no vision. She said, I don't know how to. What's his first step? What does the man watch this show? If you want to become a godly leader and the head of your home, here's step number one.
You must be saved.
Yeah.
I love Jesus. I've been baptized.
Okay. Have a personal relationship with him
How do I do that?
by spending time reading the word,
Okay.
going to church, getting on your knees, talking to him.
Okay. So when you say go to church,
Yes.
go to church and do what?
Worship. I go to church to hear the preaching.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say this in front of you. I really don't care to hear the singing.
He says to say in front of you.
I really don't care to hear the worship and the worship part. I don't mean that I hate it. I really get off on getting the word. I get fed from getting the word.
You must have an amazing pastor. That's
I do. I do.
Wow.
But I've always been that way. The songs here and there, okay, I feel a few songs, but I need the word. The songs just not get it.
Tuck, this is good because this is good. Now you sit between two minutes. You sit between two therapists, right? He does count. You do counseling too, couple counseling. Okay, so now you're gonna be on the couch. Here's the deal. When you hear, because I hear this so much when a man says he's not really an expressive worshiper.
Right.
What does that mean? When you hear a man say that, who's married, and there's men watching,
Right.
what might we want to encourage as it pertains to I want the word
Right.
to apply it, but I can do without the worship. Because here's what a theologian hears.
Okay.
Give me the scholasticism and keep the romanticism. Give me the scholasticism and keep the sensationalism.
Okay.
I want a relationship that don't have to be expressed. And that can follow you into a marriage. Like, baby, keep all that. Give me just the facts, please.
Yes. And you say that when me and my wife talks, or she needs to talk to me, I have to tell her, so baby, I don't need the preamble.
That's it.
Give it to me.
But that's the music.
I know it, but my wife preamble could take 20 minutes, and it's like
Sometimes worship takes a while.
yes, that does. It does. It does.
And so watch this now. Your wife is retarded over there. And watch, and men, and thank you so much for your transparency. Because men need to process that differently. It's not just her talking. Package that as this is, okay, worship is not as appreciated when you're not a fan of who it's directed towards.
Right.
You see, it's not my favorite song. It's a song that reminds me most about who he is.
Right. Yeah.
If you approach worship like that, Tuck, I know you're a man of God. You spoke at conference. I know all that good stuff. But if give me a song, Joe. What's comes? Hey, he's jealous for me. Sing it.
He is jealous for me. Love like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy.
He's talking about the one that you pray to all the time. He's describing that he is a hurricane
Right.
I am a tree bending beneath the wind of his great
Weight of his wind
weight
and mercy.
of his mercy. And so, do you not appreciate hearing them talk about your God?
I do. And what's crazy, I can listen to it in the car. I don't mind listening to it in the car, but when I come here, I don't know. I really want to hear it. And it's crazy again. I can hear the word, I can hear a song, gospel song, and I'll be in the car and I'm just crying. I mean, literally crying. Like, man, I'm tripping. I had to really tell myself, okay, you're really not tripping. But I used to think I was tripping because I would just be crying because I felt every word of the song. But when I came to church, like, man, just let me hear the preaching, man.
Yo,
that got me fooled.
Yo, man, I want to say why this analogy is in my brain, because we're talking to husbands. I want husbands to hear this, because so many husbands, man, they say, but Pastor, it take us so long. And she be saying it, Pastor's torture. But what if she's getting undressed to fully expose herself to you? What if, imagine what you feel like if you came home wanting to be intimate and all she wanted to do was just pull him to the side and take nothing else off.
That's not inviting.
Say it again.
That's not inviting.
No.
That's how she kind of feel when you tell her, baby, just pull it to the side. I ain't trying
right.
Just pull him to the side. I ain't trying to do all that. Does that help?
Yes, it does. And one thing I've learned by being married for a while, you have to let them express themselves.
Yeah.
I have to let my wife talk. I have to let her get it out.
Because you don't got no
do
choice.
the
Yes,
she needs it. Like, she truly needs to talk and communicate.
Yes. It's a need.
And it may take a while.
It's a need. I like that.
Like, I remember one time I had a car accident. And so waiting for the insurance to come through so I can get me a new vehicle, she would take me to work. On the way to work, sometimes I ride in silence.
Yeah, me too.
And she thought something, she just kept having to talk. And I'm like, oh my God. And she thought it was something wrong that we would ride to work sometime inside. I'm like, no, baby, this is what I need, but I know she needs to talk.
And what you're telling husbands is let her talk.
Yes.
Because she needs to talk.
She does.
And so maybe what we need to do is become a fan of the song.
Yeah. You know, I tell you, Pastor.
Yeah.
You
you about to say something different from what I said? We got to let that breathe. I just dropped the bar.
Yeah, you did.
You did. This right here.
But did you hear what I just said, though?
Yes, sir.
That was, dude, did you hear? Listen, what I just said is we got to become a fan of our wife's song. We call it talking, but that's her song.
Right.
We got to become a fan of the artist who's
Right.
singing the song.
You're right. Right.
Man.
Say loud. Now go ahead.
And so, you know, I can really talk about this now. There was a time I would cry. But my wife, you know, I worked, you know, as a hairstylist. I would go in like 7 and get off like 8:30 and 9 because I wanted to make sure I was taking care of my family.
Sure.
She was homeschooling the kids. And so when I would get home, she done got them bathed and cleaned up and got the food. I mean, just perfect. And then when I go to bed, it's like about 10:30 and I'm about this close to the best snore I probably would have in 10 years. And I hear a voice say, you know, I'm thinking about taking the kids to the zoo tomorrow. And I'm thinking to myself like that, I said, Lord, I'm trying to sleep and she's trying to talk to me right now. And I would just say, baby, look, I got to go to work 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired. And so she said, okay, right? And what I learned from that, Pastor, I'm wondering why is she talking to me this late at night? But what I didn't realize, that was the only time she had. She was busy the whole time.
Wow.
And then when I realized
Wow.
and she still respected me and said, okay, baby, go to sleep.
Wow.
Then when I looked at it, that means out of 7 days, I only spent 4 hours with my wife on a Sunday because I was looking at football too.
Wow.
And I had to apologize. I said, baby, I'm so sorry.
Listen, man.
I've only been spending 4 hours a
Listen,
week
man.
with you. And I had the audacity after you are finished feeding the kids, cleaning them up, clean up the house, cook and serve me, and I want to go back in and sleep. And the only time you got to talk to me to even say hello is 11 o'clock at night. And I told you, baby, I'm tired. I want to go to
And
sleep.
it's like Andre said earlier, because if someone would ask you what was most important, you said, my family or my wife. You wouldn't go to jail for a wife that you don't even talk to. And you end up talking to more in prison than you do when you're free.
Yeah.
You caught what I just said, Tuck. You talk to more
What you locked up?
when you locked up, because now you can't wait to hear a voice.
Yeah, so I apologize to her on that, but I can tell you, men, don't let your wife have to tell you to say, don't let your wife start "I love you" conversation off with "I love you," and then you say "I love you too," because every morning I wake up, Pastor, as God is my witness, I fall in love with my wife all over every morning.
But you had to get there, though.
I had to get there. I had to get there, but the way I got there,
Yes, how'd you get there?
I fell in love with Christ. And I learned what sacrificial love is.
Men?
I fell in love with Christ. When, I love my wife
Sure. Of course.
before, but I didn't know how to love until I fell in love with you. It's a difference. I received Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior.
Right.
But when you fall in love with him,
Absolutely.
you learn how to love.
Right.
And that was the whole thing with me, because my wife, when we got together, man, she would cuss me out so bad, man. I told her one day, I said, you know what? I wish you was a man for about 30 minutes, just 30 minutes.
Cut that part. Edit that.
May I add something to that?
Yes, sir.
You said be a fan of the worship, but here's another thing too. It is amazing how our ears are draining when we listening to our wives, but at the same time, we want them to hear us. Because men have a lot to say. We have a lot to get off our chest, and sometimes, I could talk to this brother as a man.
Right.
When I want to talk to my wife, I really want you to listen to me.
Right.
But when it's reciprocated, it's like,
Right.
baby, just get to the point. Get straight there. Just don't go down 35. Just take me right there. Take me right
I've
there to
never
20.
thought about that.
But when we want them to listen,
Right.
we want their undivided attention.
Right.
We want their all.
Right
We want you
then
to
and
sit
there.
Right then and there.
Yeah.
So in the mature factor, it's kind of give and take. You got to pick your battles.
Yeah, you do.
That's mature.
And so,
Maturity.
What you're telling men is to give her the same type time that you
Absolutely.
wanted to give to you.
Absolutely.
Now, Dr. Godwin, thank you, man, for being on the show. We trying to keep it going on the show. Yes, sir. You were sitting over there, man. I saw you laughing a couple of times, but we're talking about, man. This couch, we're talking to men. We're talking to more especially married men. And we try and tell them something that they may not hear or understand from their wives. So the title is Wives, Thank Me Later. So you're going to say, wives, thank me later. But I'm going to tell to give your husband a nugget that's going to make you thank me for telling your husband. And so we have various topics. Which one jumps out to you? Because you do a lot of mentoring and stuff like that for men. What is something that you see as common that most men don't know, but their wives wish they did know?
Wives, you'll thank me later. One thing I see that most men don't understand about being married is understanding the assignment of being a husband. And what I mean by that, earlier I heard Andre talking about becoming a husband first, becoming a man
first, right.
And when you're young, I got married young, so I can't speak for everybody, but when you're young and you get married as a man, a lot of times you're thinking about marriage from a benefits standpoint. Right? We can do everything, nothing's off the table.
Oh, you about sexual?
Yeah, right. So
Okay.
we think about sex, we think about having somebody to be there, food, all those
Sure.
things. But one of the things that we miss until we get older and get mature is the assignment of true leadership, of teaching. It's my responsibility to nurture her in the word. It's my responsibility to lead her in that way. And when you look at it like that, it truly is being the pastor of your home. And if more men will embrace being the pastor of their home,
Yeah.
that makes everything easier. It doesn't mean that you're perfect, and they're going to understand that you're not perfect, but they're going to see that you're trying.
Yeah. Anytime I do men's conferences, man, whenever I'm talking to men, I always tell them, I tell them, be the pastor of your house that you expect the pastor at your church to be.
Correct.
Wow, that's powerful.
If it's a no-go for the pastor of your church, it should be a no-go as a pastor of your home. If you leave your home, if you leave your church, if you find something your pastor did, then how you think your wife feels when she finds the stuff you doing?
Yeah.
As I say it all the time, the whole thing of pastoring your home, I love that. Let's talk about what most men sometimes say. That, and I think you two is kind of looking at each other too. We talk about the whole thing about libido, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think that most men feel that they don't have enough sex?
Married men, yes.
Wow. Yeah. Say more. Either one of you. I'm curious. Why do you think married men feel like they're not having enough sex?
I believe for a couple of reasons. I think sometimes the women are tired. I don't think a lot of men truly realize the responsibility the woman has.
Women are shouting all over the world right now.
To holding down the house, cooking, cleaning the kids, and paying this, making sure this is done. And now all of a sudden, I want you hanging from the ceiling fan with Skittles or something on. That's difficult for your wife.
I bet that is. Wearing some Skittles from the ceiling fan, that sounds quite difficult.
So as a man, take the load off of her. Whatever that may be.
Wives shouting all
Each
the world.
household is different. If that means, okay, I need to cook this week or this day, or I need to wash the clothes this day, I need to put the kids to bed today. I used to tell mine, you go take a nap right now. I see you tired. It's 4:35 and she yawning. Oh, no, go take a nap. I got this. Kids, shut up. Leave your bum alone. Come on. I needed you that evening.
I speak for everybody sitting on the couch. I almost went to bed. I thought you talked to me. You scared me just then, bro.
He felt that.
He felt that in his Shana Bobo.
Yes.
Go to bed now.
I can tell. He was reliving that.
Thou
moment.
shalt sleep. Nah, but listen, but I like that, man. And bro, let's do this. Would y'all agree that one magic act that you can do for your wife is fold and put up clothes?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The women dread.
Absolutely.
They'll wash them, but folding and putting up clothes, it's like something out of a horror movie.
Right.
And so, man, that's one thing you can do.
Yeah.
Fold and put up clothes.
But can I say this?
Yes, sir, you can.
I think too often for husbands, we think about what happened before the children. Like when you first got married.
Come on.
I mean, you were going there at 5, sometimes 6 days a week.
Right.
Sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, just depending on what your schedule was like.
Right.
And so now, I'm just saying, you may wake up in the morning.
Right.
I'm
Real
just
talk.
being transparent.
Right.
We would wake up in the morning.
You're my hero.
Like, can you meet me on lunch break?
Yes.
Yeah, meet me on lunch break. And then by nightfall, we go another round.
Yeah.
And so we get into this pattern of sex,
another
sex.
round.
And then all of a sudden, different responsibilities start coming into play.
Absolutely.
You have children, they have sports, they have activities.
Yeah.
You may work, she may work long hours, and then after a while,
That's true.
you have so many variables taking place. Like, man, we don't have sex no more. Like, what's going on? So now, man, it's frustrating.
Right.
But I do agree with what you're saying, though. If we help more domestically around the house, I do believe that they alleviate more time and freedom for our wives.
Also, not only that, we have to continue to date and romance our wives.
That's true.
We as men can get complacent.
I know Mr. Skip the worship and get to the preaching. I know you.
Come on, let's be okay. If we're gonna talk, let's talk.
Talk.
After a while, you've been with your woman 20 years,
Yes.
26 years.
Yes.
You done been there, done that. Absolutely. Not to say I don't love steak, but sometimes I kind of want some tacos. And so in other words, you have to switch it up.
Yeah.
Don't get complacent. Do the same move. Say the same thing. Oh, baby, you so beautiful. She's bored too. So her libido is down. Like, I know what he gonna do. He gonna come slap me on the butt, kiss me. Baby, you coming to bed?
Wait, you know what? No, wait a minute. I got a woman I'm gonna bring on here in a few minutes. Because you know what I'm curious, Tuck? I'm curious. Does our verbiage turn her off?
It can.
Because we use words like go another round,
Right.
Yeah.
smash,
Right.
let's get it. I'm wondering if our verbiage
Oh, yeah.
makes it seem like a task or a chore as opposed to an intimate encounter with her husband.
Some women like that, though.
Right.
At times.
Right.
So okay, so
But
you
it
say
can't be all the time.
Right.
Yeah. Your words can turn her off or heat her up.
Okay, so which brings me understanding that there are air fryer moments.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But many times she's a crock pot.
Yes. Absolutely. I need to cut mine on at 10, 9 o'clock that morning.
There you go.
Then back at 11 or 12 and 1. And then back at 4. Then at 7. I can't wait to Nah,
But the reality,
not consistently.
so,
I
Can't wait to not.
No,
so the
not
reality
me.
is, when I hear that question, I think it really varies. It depends on the man, depends on the situation, right? And it's expectations.
Absolutely.
So we can't expect our wives, like I got married young, so I can't expect my wife to perform at the level she did when we first got together.
Absolutely.
We were both younger, like both of us.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes we want to expect them to do things
Right.
that we still not in our prime that we were doing back
I think
then
it's
either.
quality over quantity
It is
at that
quality
point.
over quantity. So it's
right?
not about the quantity.
Because you should be better at it by now.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yeah.
Come on,
I
Pastor.
personally don't have an issue as far as feeling like I'm not blessed in that area. And
Right. No, I
figures,
get what you're
right?
saying.
Yeah.
So I think it's one, an expectation, a healthy expectation. Number two, I think it comes down to communication.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Communication keeps intimacy.
Communication keeps intimacy.
So
all day.
So like
that.
what you said about the crock pot moment, my wife would tell you, I call my wife several times throughout the day, every day when I'm at work.
That's it.
Okay.
Right?
Dang.
I'm not waiting. Number one, I don't want to come home and just hear all the problems.
Right. Okay.
Right?
That's it.
Ah,
that.
that's a good one.
Because when I come home, my
Bang me
home is
later.
my sanctuary.
Okay.
Like it's saved in my alarm as a sanctuary.
Okay.
I'm coming home for peace.
Yeah.
Dr. Godwin, I gotta drop this nugget. He just said something, y'all. I need y'all to lock in on this. He just said he checks on her
Yeah.
throughout the day.
Absolutely.
So when he comes home, he's not bombarded with all the issues of the day because you've already checked with. So it's not our first time seeing you. I have never heard that nugget. That's a good one. I love that one. So Diane, I need you to swoop that microphone around. I gotta ask some stuff here. So, sir, you about to say something? I want to get a woman's perspective. On
That
something.
was perfect, but everybody's schedule doesn't allow for that.
Text.
You can do it by text, yeah. But everybody,
Speak.
I mean, because I'm with you on that. So I talk to my wife all day. I got my earbuds in. I work in the laboratory, and they see my mouth moving all day. It's like
He
who you on
like
the phone
Tommy
with?
too. He ain't
Like,
got no job.
But I'm just intentional with mine. So
Absolutely.
I'm a doctor. I don't have much time in my day. My phone is actually in the break room all day.
Yeah.
But I'll call her right before I get to the office. I'll call her during my lunch break, and then I'll usually call her right before I leave, and I'll just make sure, are you good? Do you need me to do anything, pick up anything? Right. And we get all that out the way. So when I come home, it's all love. I love coming home. It's my favorite part of the day. The way my wife, the way my daughters greet me, I
love
wouldn't trade it for nothing in the
look
world.
forward
That's
to going
cool.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think for because I love how your girls and your wife, I love how they're a fan of you. And that takes intentionality. And so to hear you say that, I'm hearing that you are intentional to make sure they know that they're a priority, not just when you see them, but when you're away from them, that you're out. That's the two I hope every man get. Do not wait till you get off work. You saying bye in the morning and coming home in the evening should not be the only times you talk to your wife.
Yeah. And my
I
girls.
love that.
I text them throughout the day too.
I love it, man. Diane, I had a question a second ago.
Mm-hmm.
Does how because men complain, most men feel that they don't have enough sex, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rolls eyes. So do you, first of all, do women feel like men are like just horny toads, that's all they want is sex? Is that how women see men?
I don't think that they see it like that. I think that sometimes it can start to feel like a burden, though, when you have so much going on and you just almost feel like, well, I did this. Let me go on and give him some so you be quiet or.
Charity.
Oh
no,
Lord.
not charity.
And don't
but like-
nothing hurt, don't nothing get on a man nerve, don't nothing turn a man off fast. But, come on, God.
And you don't want it now. A good wife maybe even might be thinking like that in her mind,
But she gotta play it off,
but she
right?
gonna play it off like this. Like this is great, I think. But I will say that I think a lot of women think about it too.
Mm-hmm.
You wake up that morning. I know that there's been plenty of times I wake up in the morning and I see him getting ready. I'm like, okay, that's me,
Mm-hmm.
And then life happened, and then the kids, and you come home and you do all that stuff, and what Brother Man was saying. Then finally you about to get into that best sleep, Now this happened, and then here he come doing this little thing, and you like, oh.
Cameras, did you get that?
You like,
Oh, Lord, here it comes. Oh, Lord.
But no.
You start trying to snort.
You be
Like
real
you be
still.
asleep.
I'm really just kidding. That's horrible.
No.
She said you be real still.
We still be like, well, she.
Yeah.
She's like,
If I don't breathe,
That may work for some men.
if I don't breathe,
I know. Some men.
Snore all she wants to.
yeah.
Just don't
Snore all you want to. Yeah. All right.
I wake up. Well, that's bad.
No,
That's
you
bad.
just move the
You ain't
leg.
gotta
You move the
move.
leg. See if the leg move.
I got it. Stay right there.
But no, I think a lot of ladies.
Oh, it's not a family show. So do we? How can for a woman? Because this is like wives thank me later. What can you tell men though that they can? How if there's a woman who feels like sex has become more of a chore? How can he get her back to the place? Because what frustrates me is like, you used to love sex. We used to sneak and have sex. You used to come out to win it. Now it's like I gotta pay you.
Yeah.
So how do the men get the women back to that point?
Okay, well, I'm going to say that I don't want to get all nursey on you guys,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some things that can go on with women's bodies too as they start having children. When you don't have
Mm-hmm.
like lack of sleep and things like that, really screw up with a lot of women are working from some deficits with hormones sometimes too. You know, we have testosterone, we lose testosterone, and then you're not getting sleep. So I think sometimes it's a lot to it, and it's more to it than just saying like, you know, I'm gonna fold the clothes and all that. So sometimes I'll be thinking to myself like, dang, sleep sound. I get excited about sleep sometimes.
Wow.
Sometimes just as excited as I might get around about sex. That's sad, but like, you know.
You know, it's I remember when I was married, I remember one of the things that my wife at the time used to say. She didn't really realize just how important it was to me. She didn't realize how it used to make me feel to hear the word no, right? And I think a lot of women don't understand what that word no means to a husband. And so she said, well, what she started doing, she'd get up, wash her face, wake up, because she'd rather do that as opposed to deal with everything comes after a no. That makes sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely, because it's not worth it. And if you know, if your mind, you got these good tricks, you're like, well, this could
These
be
good
over.
tricks.
No, in mind, you could be like, well, this will be done in 2 minutes or something.
Whoa,
So,
wow, whoa, wow.
Okay. I'm just
Whoa,
kidding.
wow.
No, I'm
Let's
just
get these
kidding.
2 minutes in.
But no. If you know your mate, some people might think, you know what? I know what the trigger spot is. Let me just go ahead and do it. By
And
the
go
time
for
I say no, and then
But that's a fair. That is a fair statement. That's a fair statement because every time you have sex, it's not a porn movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like a trailer.
Yeah.
and that's okay.
Yes.
Let's get there and
So-
let's go to bed. Go sleep.
But what do you say when it's the wife with the higher libido? Because sometimes it ain't just sometimes the wife said, "Listen, man, you done peaked. I'm peaking." And what do you tell the husband who has the wife with the higher sex drive? He's telling her no, because that rejection hurts just as much for her as well.
That does. And you know, men, going back, not trying to get all nursey, men lose testosterone.
Absolutely.
As well.
Absolutely.
Not realize, like, you know, they got, you got menopause and menopause.
What is menopause a real thing?
I made that up, but it's true.
Oh, I'm like, what the what?
It's kind of like a thing. Yeah. Like just the same changes that women go through, men go through also, where even their libido or drive or all of that is just not what it used to be.
Sure.
You know? So
So as two people in the medical field, so the wives can thank y'all later. What can men do to start making sure that that blood flows?
It's really simple, man. I deal with this, so I deal with men.
What you deal with
like,
ED?
No, couples in the office. It happens. So when we're young, I always say,
But you good. You don't have.
I'm good.
You sound me. Oh no. I'm a grown man. I'm a grown man. I'm super.
Listen, so I call it God's sense of humor, right? When we're young, we're chasing them around the house, and then as we get older, they start chasing us around the house.
I was telling them, dude.
Right.
I was telling them on the couch earlier. Said no.
But I've seen it enough that I believe it, right? And so as a man, it's really basic. If you want to have a healthy sex life as long as you want to, you got to look at it as vitality with everything else. Make sure your blood pressure is normal. Make sure that you're good. So if you're on statins, you can pretty much count it as a loss.
If you're on what?
A statin.
Okay, sir.
A statin is a drug for blood pressure and cholesterol.
Okay,
So if you're on medication for anything like that,
I got you. So cause
yeah.
I want to hit this because they tell my time. Talk to us who have no idea what medical terms are. What are some practical things we could do?
work out 3 or 4 times a week.
3 or 4 times a week.
How many times a week you want to have sex?
Okay, all right, go ahead.
All right, so work out 3 or 4 times a week. Drink lots of water.
That's a clip.
I mean, right? You got to train for it, right?
Okay.
Make sure you're
Marathon
drinking
man.
water. Make sure that you're decreasing.
Drinking water.
Yeah, half your body weight in ounces. Decrease your sugar and high fat intake, right? And your stress. And
Okay.
the great thing is, sex is a natural stress reliever. It's a God-given gift.
Absolutely.
So you're saying that without sex, we can die. So with somebody not giving you sex, they trying to kill you? Oh, Lord. Come on, Diane. It's men dying. People are dying out here.
Well, the flip side, the converse of that, I actually tell women that same thing. When they feel like that, go get checked out. Go get your labs and everything checked out and make sure things are like good with your levels because it will affect that. You're not getting
Right.
sleep and it just all kind of plays with each other. So yeah, definitely being healthy and keeping things.
And sometimes it has nothing to do with love. I mean, you can love a person, but physically, you just can't perform how you wish you wanted to perform. Is that true or no?
I guess.
Because you don't have no problem.
I'm praying I never have to answer that question.
This no, I mean there are certain things, even with the way like for women that where it doesn't feel the same because maybe as you're aging, things change down there.
Now you're in the
so-
med spa business. I heard about in their surgery they can get their vaginas like smaller or something to increase the sensation.
There's everything. You
That's
can
a
do.
common thing.
It's called vaginal rejuvenation.
Yeah.
Vaginal rejuvenation.
Yes, get a brand new one.
Shut up.
And actually, a lot of people do it.
Wait a minute. A brand new one?
I ain't say it was brand new, but a lot of people do it.
But I mean, low mile, like to take the miles.
This girl
roll the
said low
miles
mileage.
back. No,
This girl said
certified pre-owned.
This fool says certified pre-owned. What in the world? What are we talking about on the show? A certified pre-owned vagina.
Wow.
I ain't never heard this.
Me either.
I've heard about that, but I didn't think it was a real thing.
There's literally
Is that like cheating?
no.
If it's not the same, if it's not the same vagina you start out with, it's a different. It's like
I mean, it's
Is it cheating?
probably no different than lashes and BBLs. I mean,
On a different note, there are things for men as well. We live in a world now. There's all kind of nobody.
I've lost
got
control of
the-
this show.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. It is what I mean. There's
Men are getting what done?
penile girth enhancements.
A penile girth enhancement. Girth enhancement.
Yes, sir. Yes, Pastor.
What is that? What do you take? How do you girth enhance? What you take fat or meat from somewhere? And,
It's kind of like a BBL for that. Sorry. It really is.
and you still got to have the testicular fortitude to lift it.
Well, I'm saying all that's fine, but it actually is a thing. If you Google it, and it makes some
Do a
people
lot of
very
brothers
happy.
get that, or is that more like our cousins?
I mean, probably like our cousins, but I
Well,
mean, at this point now, if everybody got access to stuff, if you got the money to do certain things, you can get stuff worked out. But that is something that it's for guys as well.
I'm curious at one of our previous guests who she is totally against certain things. How would she feel if I love you, babe, but you gotta go get some surgery. That is okay. So wives think us later. So
I actually want to think about something. Like about Viagra.
Huh?
So think about a Viagra.
Viagra,
right?
okay.
That's something for men because at some point they made that and they decided that like, okay, at some point men may need that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Men and women, like, what's our Viagra? That's where I go to say that sometimes women, even though,
Those pellets.
boom, that's see there exactly though,
pellets,
right?
or
Yep.
creams.
Or creams.
Creams.
And creams.
What's the cream?
It's the same. Instead of pellets, some women get creams that they rub on, topicals, and they last for a little bit.
Where they rub the
hormones-
cream?
You can rub them anywhere. You can rub them anywhere. But the
Yeah,
point,
but typically, on like clitoris or whatever, and it may take, it absorbs. So it's another way of getting hormones in the
Ooh,
body.
that's scary.
But imagine the person who does not, imagine a husband that's frustrated because it's not happening, and the woman who's frustrated because she doesn't have this knowledge or she's not armed with this knowledge about like things can be going on with you that you really
Right.
just can't even control and you don't understand why. You don't have nothing to do with him. He looks great and all that, but it's just how you're feeling because of what's, going
That's
going
cool.
on.
And so wives, you can thank them later, but your husband, he can get help. There is called penile girth enhancement. I bet, but Diane, I bet there's some women frustrated right now because their husbands are small.
That or doesn't last. I mean, they have literally, when it comes to that, if you love your partner and y'all can be comfortable with each other, or those are things, or if it's dry, because that can happen to people as you get older, talk about these things, there's an answer.
Wow.
People can make it happen if they're willing to.
I got people throwing up
talk
stop
about
signs all around this deal. This was good. We need a whole episode just on penile girth enhancement and vaginal replacement. We need,
from a medical standpoint, though, I definitely think that there's a learning curve, definitely, especially for people of like African Americans. So much stuff that we just kind of feel like we don't.
Wow.
That's for whatever, but
it's cool to talk about it freely. You know what I mean? Because it's not taboo to talk about things that are real life things that people struggle with. And that's one. There's a certain age that even with women get that sex is no longer fun because they're experiencing vaginal dryness and that type of things. And people feel like they're destined. I just gotta deal with it, But you don't. There are options for that.
And I'll just say really quick,
for
both men and women, when they get to that point, the stress that happens because of that embarrassment or failure actually makes the problem worse.
Yeah, and you can die.
If you do, yep, that's.
I heard you can die. On this, so
I heard that too.
One of y'all say you can die.
Doc said that.
Well, guys, if we didn't keep it going today, I don't know when we ever did. This has been a fantastic show. I've learned some things. Dr. Godwin, he's my superhero because in certain surgeries, hopefully. Brother, if you want to talk to him at her afterwards, she has a med spa and she can help if that's it. Keep it going. God bless y'all. We'll see y'all later. Goodness gracious.
That was good, wasn't it? Now that you know who my man is, go follow Doc on IG at Doc_Goines. I'll see y'all next Tuesday back on the block.